clients have been asking me, saying, Brad, are the USCIS filing fees going up? So here's what I know about filing fees going up. On January 4th, 2023, USCIS published a proposal in the Federal Register seeking to amend the USCIS fee schedule, meaning they're going to raise the filing fees and make certain other changes to immigration benefits requirements. Now, the public comment period, if you watch Bradshaw Live, you know there's always a comment period. You have to follow the rules to change any rules with the government. And that's why all those lawsuits happen, because they don't follow the rules. So now they have to have a public comment period for USCIS proposed fee increase. And that ended on March 13th. And during that public comment period, the agency amassed more than 6,000 public comments, mostly with criticism of proposed cost increases and the impact that they could have on U.S. businesses, workforce, families. And the fee increases will not go into effect until the final rule is published. And they cannot publish a final rule for a minimum of 30 days. So it will not go into effect at least until April 13th. But under the rules and laws, they have to take into account everybody's comment and write a response or consider a response for all of the public comments. And that may take some time as well, because there were 6,000 public comments. So we're not exactly sure the day that the fee rule will be modified, but it will be modified at some point in the future. It can't happen before April 13th. It could happen anytime after April 13th of this year. And we will see what happens. Now, the USCIS proposal would raise application fees for every immigrant category in the United States. Besides significant price increases for employment-based visas like the H-1B, family-based immigrant applications, everybody is facing dramatic fee increases. This includes, get a hold of this one. This includes a doubling of the adjustment fee for a marriage case. Right now, you get married to a U.S. citizen, you're paying the government $1,760 for the I-130, your biometrics, and your I-45. That fee is now going to be increased to $3,640 for one marriage adjustment fee. That's the filing fee for the government. It's going up to $3,640 if this rule goes into effect. In addition, fees for accompanying children will no longer be reduced, and their costs are going to mirror exactly what the adult applications are. So for an example, if you're an immigrant family of 4, you get married to a U.S. citizen, and you want to file for your spouse, or you're a U.S. citizen, you want to file for your spouse, and you want to file for your spouse's 2 children who are with your spouse in the United States, the filing fees for that family of 3 could exceed $10,000. That is just the filing fee for the 3 adjustment applications. Other immigration applications are also set to increase in price. The fiancé visa petition will increase by 35%. So that fee is going up from $535 to $720. The petition for a relative will increase by 53%, from $535 to $820. And the removal of conditions application will increase by 76%, from $680 to $1,195. The proposed fee hikes are expected since the agency is required to review its immigration fee structure every 2 years. USCIS receives roughly 96% of its funding from filing fees. They have not increased filing fees since 2016. However, doubling the adjustment fee is obscene. Now, what USCIS says is as fewer people applied for immigration benefits, their revenue has plummeted, leading to widespread furloughs and a backlog in immigration cases. We know about the backlog for sure. Now, to fully recover, the federal agency, USCIS, said it needs to raise application fees, adding that the proposed prices are expected to generate $1.9 billion per year more than what they are getting right now. USCIS Director M. Jadoo stated that the new fee structure would allow the agency to improve customer service operations, and manage the incoming workload. Now, as I said, no one is sure when the new fees are going to go into effect. The minimum date is April 13th of this year, but it could be any time after April 13th. And we don't know what changes, if any, will happen between their proposed rule change and the 6,000 comments that came in about the proposed rule changes, and what, if anything, they will do to fix it. Now, as I said, USCIS, they're required to follow a specific process mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act to make changes in rules, and that includes fees. So once the comment period ends, the agency can take a variety of actions, including modifying or withdrawing the proposal. And after any modifications occur based on feedback, the final rule will ultimately be published. And as I said, this can take place as quickly as 30 days after the end of the public comment period, which was March 13th, which means April 13th. Now, the final published rule will state the date that the new rule will be implemented, and they have to give you at least 30 days from April 13th or some day after that for the final rule and filing fees to be implemented. So let's assume immigration comes out, the final regulation comes out on May 1st. That means May 30th, the filing fees would be going up. Don't quite count me as May 1st. I gave it as a example. So today is March 20th. We said April 13th is the bare minimum days, and then it's another 30 days after that. So you have minimally between now and approximately May 12th to file an application and be certain that your application will have the lower filing fee. If you wait to file someday after May 12th of this year, we don't know what day that will be. It could be May 12th, it could be June 12th, it could be September 12th, it could be never. But there is a possibility, a strong possibility, that at some date after May 12th, filing fees will go up. Now, based on this timeline, if the final rule mirrors the recommended fee increases included in the proposal, they can take effect in May. So the probability seems to be that USCIS proposed fee hikes will go into effect in May. It'll be after May 13th. We don't know when. It could be June 13th. It could be July. But most people guesses are the end of May. So if you plan on getting married, you plan on filing that adjustment application, now's the time to do it. Immigration advocates are mobilizing supporters to stop a proposed Biden administration rule disqualifying asylum seekers who cross the border without appointments or fail to apply for protection in countries they travel through on the way to the United States. The advocates say between 12,000 and 14,000 people so far have submitted written comments to the Department of Homeland Security in opposition to the proposed circumvention of lawful pathways. That's what the rule is called. Public comment on what advocacy groups call an asylum travel ban ends on March 27th. The Department of Homeland Security plans to implement the rule in anticipation of a migrant surge once the Title 42 public health rule that has allowed border agents to promptly expel people crossing the border illegally expires on May 11th. In justifying the rule, the Department of Homeland Security said the proposed rule is designed to address the current and anticipated surge in migration and further discourage illegal migration by encouraging lawful, safe, and orderly processes for entering the United States and partner nations. Advocates say the new rule relies heavily on technology and Custom and Border Patrol's One App, which many people in need throughout the world lack access to or are proficient. El Paso Bishop Mark Seitz said the new rule places additional burdens in neighboring countries, primarily Mexico, which are dealing with violence and regional instability that forces their own citizens to migrate. And Seitz wrote last week in America Jesuit Review, we can expect an increase in both the exploitation of migrants by traffickers and migrant deaths, now at record levels, which occur whenever legal pathways at the border are restricted. On March 11th, this past Saturday, dozens of immigrants and advocates from the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition rallied at the state capitol. The group wants Colorado's congressional delegation to support a bill to update the U.S. Registry law that allows undocumented immigrants to receive amnesty after being in the United States. Now, the registry law right now is January 1st, 1972, which means that anybody who was in the United States on or before January 1st, 1972, it's an old form of amnesty, can get a green card. It's still on the books. But how many people are living in the United States since January 1st, 1972 who aren't legal or still alive? Because they're either dead or they already got their green cards. January 1st, 1972, that was 50 years ago. More than that, 51 years. We're in 2023. So they want to update the law. And any date they pick that is after January 1st, 1972 is beneficial. The date they want to pick is January 1st, 2015. Move the registry date up to January 1st, 2015. That means if you were here before January 1st, 2015, you would be able to get a green card. Now, nobody is saying this rule is going to go into effect because even though Biden would sign it, the problem is go find 4 Republicans in the House of Representatives who will vote for it. That's basically what you need, 4 Republicans in the House of Representatives to vote for it. Because most Democrats, you would assume, would vote for it. And Republicans outnumber the Democrats in the House of Representatives by 4. And then you would need 8 senators, 8 Republican senators to pass it in the U.S. Senate. This is only 52 Democrats. So I don't think it's going to pass. But people are still anxious and want it to. Now, known as H.R. 8433, the bill would update the registry law to allow anyone who entered the country prior to January 2015 to apply for their green card. It's their amnesty. It was introduced in the House of Representatives on March 9th by Democratic Representatives Zoe Lofgren of California, Jesus Garcia of Illinois, Grace Meng of New York, and Norma Torres, and Lou Correa of California, and Representative Diana DeJette, who represents Denver, has signed onto the bill as an original sponsor. The group rallied to call on Senators Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper to support a corresponding bill in the Senate. At the rally, Carlos Rojas, a labor and immigration organizer, said, "This bill is a common sense approach for people to receive permanent residency status year after year, and for the United States to actually be a nation that supports immigrants." Data from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol show that encounters with migrants along the border with Mexico decreased by 37% between December 22, January 2023. It's the lowest recorded on record. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is also considering implementing laws that would deter future immigration. The New York Times reported that Biden is mulling a reinstatement of the migrant family detention policy that he shut down 2 years ago. The president has also empowered the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice to draft a new rule that could prohibit someone who is deported for illegally crossing the border from re-entering the United States for 5 years. So it's all bad news, basically, for immigrants. They're raising fees, can't pass any sort of amnesty to help people who are here. I doubt this bill would pass, but you never know. I'm always hopeful. Biden's changing the rules to make it harder to apply for amnesty. And we have the same broken system year after year after year. On March 13th, some decent news. The Biden administration said that thousands of Ukrainians who fled to the United States in the first month after Russia invaded their country would be eligible to extend their stay as the war in Ukraine continues into a second year. About 25,000 Ukrainians and their family members who came into the country through Mexico at a U.S. port of entry between February 24th and April 25th last year were allowed to stay for a year. Department of Homeland Security said it would consider 1-year extensions for that group. The total 2-year period aligns with the length of time Ukrainians fleeing the war were later permitted to stay in the United States under a program in a system known as humanitarian parole. Nearly 300,000 Ukrainians and their families have entered the country since the start of the war under humanitarian parole. either with a visa or as a refugee. More than 8 million have fled to European countries in the past year. Human rights advocates said people from other countries or in the United States under temporary humanitarian parole should be given similar assurances. Chris O'Mara, president of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, said the protections would expire this summer for thousands of Afghans also, who were among the first to arrive in the United States after the rushed evacuation of Afghanistan. And they too should get further protections. So a legislative proposal to give Afghan parolees an opportunity to apply for permanent residence in the United States so far has failed to get enough Republican support. So not going to give Afghans who fled the war green cards. They're certainly not going to raise the amnesty date from 1972 to 2015. On Friday, March 10th, Queens elected officials, community leaders, and residents in Ozone Park gathered for a street co-naming ceremony recognizing the corner of Drew Street and 101st Street as Little Bangladesh Way in honor of the vibrant Bangladeshi community in the borough. The unveiling is a dream come true for the community as they prepare to observe the holy month of Ramadan, which begins on March 23rd, and Bangladesh's Independence Day anniversary on March 26th. Councilwoman Joanne Ariola authored the city council bill to co-name the street, and the bill was passed in February. And upon her election to office to represent Council District 32, Ariola said that one of her promises was to make sure that the Bangladeshi community knew how much they were appreciated and valued by her as their representative. She said the street naming really comes on the backs of the hardworking people of the community. It's their hard work and dedication and sense of becoming part of America that made it possible. Community activist Japneet Singh said in a Facebook post, for some, it may just be a street sign, but for sons, daughters, and descendants of immigrants, this is so much more than that. This is about finally being seen. This is about finally being heard. This is about finally being recognized. Little Bangladesh Way will forever be cemented into the history books. And according to the Pew Research Center, as of 2019, there were 208,000 Bangladeshi immigrants living in the United States, 51% of which have resided in the U.S. for 10 plus years. And New York is the U.S. metropolitan area with the highest Bangladeshi population at 93,000 people. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.